In religious tradition, purgatory is often misunderstood. Purgatory isn't hell. It isn't eternal punishment. It isn't even necessarily a place. Purgatory is a state of being, a space where you were and where you're allowed to go next. A place meant for souls that aren't damned but aren't finished. Souls burdened by guilt, regret, unfinished business, things they couldn't let go of in life.
To the farplane, right? So their souls, or whatever they are, they go to the farplane, right? But that's the farplane we're going to, right? And
the idea is simple.
Yuna's old man's there too?
You suffer, you reflect, you atone, and then you move on.
I've done it. I have become a summoner.
Which raises a very strange question when you look at Final Fantasy X. What happens when an entire world gets stuck in that in-between state? Because once you start thinking about Spira in this way, the game starts to feel very different. Spira is not a world moving toward a future, it's a world bracing for a return. Sin comes, sin's defeated, and then the calm follows. And everyone waits for sin to come back.
Once you beat sin,
it's not if, when.
But then, a new sin will be born anyway.
Well, then you can just beat it again.
I wish I could.
Hey, you can. Trust me. You are the best summoner out there. Yuna, why does sin always come back?
Sin is our punishment for our vanity.
Cities are built knowing they'll be destroyed. Traditions are passed down with the assumption they'll never truly change. And progress is treated as arrogance. Innovation is treated as sin. This isn't hope. This is managed suffering. In religious terms, purgatory is about endurance, not growth. It's about staying in place long enough to justify why you haven't moved on yet. Spira doesn't plan for tomorrow, it plans for the next calm, and that's the first quiet parallel. In most Final Fantasy worlds, death is a transition. In Spira, death is a presence. The farplane isn't distinct or abstract, it's visible. People visit it, speak to it, they cry inside of it. The dead are never truly gone, they're just somewhere else, close enough to see. And when souls refuse to move on, they don't disappear. They linger, they become unsent.
The dead need guidance. Filled with grief over their own death, they refuse to face their fate. They yearn to live on and resent those still alive. You see, they envy the living. And in time, that envy turns to anger, even hate. Should these souls remain in Spira, they become
not because they're evil, but because they're unfinished. Bound by love, by anger, by fear, by regret.
Takes them to the farplane.
In theology, purgatory exists because the soul can't move forward while still clinging to what it was. Spira makes that idea literal. Sin is often described as a monster, but it doesn't behave like one. It punishes progress, it attacks population centers, it returns when humanity reaches too far, remembers too much, or just builds too boldly. And what I mean by this is sin isn't random, it's corrective. So in religious language, sin behaves less like a demon and more like a sentence. A reminder of past transgressions. A force that ensures humanity never forgets its guilt. That's not hell. That's penance. And purgatory suffering isn't meant to destroy the soul. It's actually meant to shape it. Spira's suffering is kind of framed in the same way, necessary, instructive, and inevitable. Which raises an uncomfortable thought. If sin is punishment, who decided Spira deserved it forever? Yevon doesn't promise salvation. What Yevon promises is structure. The teachings don't say sin will end, they say sin must be endured. That suffering has meaning, that obedience buys peace, temporarily. The calm is not freedom. It's relief. In religious terms, Yevon doesn't guide souls out of purgatory. It teaches them how to live inside of it. Ritual replaces change, tradition replaces progress, and faith becomes less about hope and more about maintenance. Purgatory only works if people believe staying is safer than leaving. And Yevon understood that perfectly. And now summoners are treated like heroes, but everyone knows the truth. They walk toward their own death so the world can rest for a while. Yuna's pilgrimage is not a victory march. It's a ritualized sacrifice.
Sin is our punishment for our vanity, and it will not go away until we've atoned. I always thought that this would be easier somehow. I thought that everyone would help me, with all my friends together beside me. I've been trying so hard.
In many religious traditions, purgatory is a place of purification through suffering. Not because suffering is necessarily good, but because it's believed to be necessary. Summoners embody that belief. They don't break the cycle, they uphold it. And the world praises them for it. Titus never accepts Spira. He questions everything. He reacts emotionally where others are just kind of numb. He refuses to treat suffering as tradition. Because Titus doesn't belong in this world. He's a dream. He's a memory. A fragment of a past that's already died. And ironically, that makes him the most alive person in the story. And simply by asking why, he destabilizes everything. The end of Final Fantasy X isn't triumphant. Sin is gone, the cycle is broken, and suddenly there is no script. There's no rituals, there's no sentence, no explanation for suffering. The dead finally pass on. The living are left with something far more frightening than sin. Freedom. That's why the ending is so bittersweet and it hurts, because salvation doesn't really feel like victory. It almost feels like loss. So is Spira purgatory? Maybe not literally. I mean, people are born there, they have real lives, they die real deaths. But thematically and spiritually and emotionally, Spira's a world that forgot how to move on. A place where guilt replaces hope, where endurance replaces growth, where suffering becomes sacred. Final Fantasy X isn't asking us how to defeat sin, it's asking whether we're willing to leave purgatory behind, even when staying feels somewhat safer. But that's just one way to read it, so I'm curious what you guys think. Is Spira a world in purgatory? Or is it something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you all. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an amazing day, and God bless.